never stays dead, and as it turns out, that is a very good thing. After giving us a 12-year reprieve, Blizzard has once again unleashed the forces of hell. Diablo 3 doesn't take any chances. The experience it offers is familiar, but Blizzard has the recipe for crafting a habit-forming, loot-driven action RPG down to a science. And in Diablo 3, the results of that recipe are more exciting and more addictive than they've ever been.
My family was butchered by Hellspawn. To witness such a thing is enough to leave your mind in ruins.
The game is welcoming and easy to grasp for vets and newcomers alike. You choose from one of 5 character classes. And though they become quite distinct at later levels, they all start with nothing but basic offensive skills that are performed with clicks of the mouse. That may sound dull, but in fact the rate at which you acquire new skills is part of what makes Diablo 3 so hard to pull yourself away from. As you level up, you unlock both new skills and new runes you can apply to existing skills. You can change your selected skills at any time, and you never make a choice that you can't undo. This gives you free rein to tinker with your abilities until you find a combination you're happy with, and it lets you customize your abilities on the fly to better tackle the challenges you're currently facing. It's not all about unlocking skills, however. It's about employing those skills to slaughter monsters, and it's about slaughtering monsters to acquire loot. And this is where Diablo 3's habit-forming pleasures lie. Your character responds with grace and immediacy to your commands as you steer him or her around the landscape and unleash attacks. The randomly generated environments encourage exploration. You never know what treasure or what powerful foe you might find down each cathedral hallway or desert trail. Enticing art design draws you into these realms, and each location is so different from the one that preceded it that you feel as if your quest to rid the world of evil is taking you across a vast and varied land. As diverse as these locations are, they all have one thing in common: they're crawling with monsters. In the early stages of your quest, most monsters fall to your attacks without putting up much of a fight. Your attacks look mighty and effective, which makes the simple act of unleashing them feel empowering. Without fail, you're rewarded for mowing down monsters with gold and gear. This is typical of the series and the genre, but it's handled here as well as it's ever been. You never feel like you're being showered with riches and items you haven't earned, nor that you're having to slog through too many foes to earn anything. Loot is doled out at a pace that makes your victories fulfilling and makes fighting the next group of foes lurking in the shadows ahead nigh irresistible. The way your rewards emerge into the world is rewarding in itself. Slay an elite monster, and coins and items pour onto the ground, making you feel like you've just won a jackpot in Vegas.
Not enough hatred.
Sometimes the gear is junk, but you never know when you're going to stumble on a weapon or piece of armor that's superior to your current equipment, making you more capable of facing the coming hordes. Even if something isn't worth using, it's often worth grabbing, either to sell or to have it salvaged by the blacksmith in town for materials that can be used to craft other items. The cycle of combat and loot and more combat is addictive, but without peril it would eventually become unfulfilling. Thankfully, the hosts of hell become increasingly dangerous over time. Boss fights are numerous and frequent, and those that bring each act to a close can be quite challenging. After you complete the game on the normal difficulty setting, you can continue on to Nightmare, which is much more than just playing the same game again against more resilient foes. Nightmare changes things up by giving enemies powerful new abilities and by placing more challenging enemies in places where they didn't previously appear. Whether you want a relatively easy, rewarding experience that you can pleasantly click your way through, or an incredibly stiff challenge, Diablo 3 has what you're looking for. And for that added element of risk, you can play in hardcore mode, where death is permanent. Each class has the offensive capabilities to take on the forces of darkness alone, and the 3 AI companions you can choose from offer a helping hand to solo adventurers. But joining with up to 3 other players makes for a far more interesting dynamic. It's extremely easy to invite friends to your game or to jump into their games. But be warned, as players join your game, the forces of evil become more powerful, requiring you to work together to survive. Unfortunately, though Diablo 3 often feels like a well-oiled machine of adventure and reward, it does occasionally sputter. You're required to be online at all times, even if you're playing solo. The servers go down periodically for maintenance, and though this maintenance is typically scheduled for off hours, you still might find the game unavailable to play at times that you want to play it. Additionally, even when the game is up and running, you may experience the occasional bout of knockback lag. And when enemies and attacks fill the screen, you may encounter some severe slowdown. But these problems and frustrations are dwarfed by the pleasures Diablo 3 offers. There's a good chance you've played games a lot like Diablo 3 before, and at no point does it dare to surprise you by tinkering with its tried and true formula. But it creates such an enticing world and offers up such enjoyable abilities that it makes that formula feel fresh again. You may ultimately be victorious at vanquishing the forces of hell, but if their true mission is to give you a compelling reason to sacrifice sleep as you keep clicking your mouse into the wee hours of the night, then they have won a decisive victory.
What is the purpose of this one?
Your master Belial has good reason to fear it.